And we are live and we have a full house this evening. Hello to all my BC WrestlePod nerds out there, and welcome to another rendition of the Takedown Troupe, your TNA review show here at the BC WrestlePod YouTube, Twitch, Dumb Conglomeration Syndicate networking thing that we pretty much do almost every single day of the week, except for Thursdays. But not during the summer, because now we include Thursdays. I am one of your hosts, Mikey, and again, as I said before, we have a packed house this evening. We took a bit of a hiatus last week as the CMLL team had a watch-along to do on last Friday, but we are back to review another episode of TNA Wrestling. And we are so close to Slammiversary. Oh, wait, hold up. What you mean we still got a month? Listen, I'm happy that we don't have to wait until the week before to figure certain promotions to figure out what's going on the card. But we still got like 3.5 week build for these things. And so we gonna talk about that this evening in this episode. But I want to introduce my panel for this evening, of course, returning to us after being in the trenches of, well, work-wise, and also having to deal with a very, very hot summer all in Tejas is Papa also himself, Will. How are we feeling? How are we sweaty? Is it hot?
Yes, it's very hot.
For anybody watching, Will is in Texas. I am in Southern California, living in a straight up desert, so I feel his pain. But not really feeling too much of the heat craziness, at least I hope not. All the way up in the Pacific Northwest is our other co-host, Mr. JT's and the Raven. How we doing this evening, my friend?
Not all too bad. I was going to go with another Corbin Dallas kind of answer, but I'm not good at doing that. So, doing great.
And then, of course, joining us once again, because apparently we didn't scare him off last time he was on here, is Radio Free Will up in this piece, hailing from the other side of the United States. So how are we doing this evening? I know it's late.
Up in New England, where it is an insufferable 67 degrees.
Be like, all right, guys, that's the end of this podcast. I would like to thank.
Hey, to be fair, it did the weather just broke yesterday. We were hitting the hundreds. We were hitting 3 digits earlier this week. So
that's true. Last week that was the same here in Oregon too. We were in the high 80s, low 90s.
Oh yeah.
We're supposed to get a heat wave next week down here in Southern California, so that should be very fun. So we'll see how that goes. But enough about our weather plights. We are here to talk about this week's episode of TNA Wrestling from Thursday, June 26, 2025. But before we get into all the drama and all the fun stuff and some questions that we all have, make sure to hit the subscribe and bell notification on YouTube. Follow us on Twitch. However you found us, word of mouth, algorithm. You just saw weird people talking about wrestling. We're glad that you're here. But if you cannot commit the time to watching a full-length review, you can pretty much follow us on the socials to get our clips that summarize all the important talking points, as well as some fun moments, as well as the report cards, so you can hear our thoughts and let us know whether you agree or disagree with them. We also have some merchandise of all the fun stuff we got going on, so link into the chat all over the places that we are streaming to, so you can go check that out, take a look at that. Part of the proceeds for certain collections will be donated to charity organizations. Our Pride collection will be donated to Point of Pride, and our We Don't Tap collection being donated to the California Youth Immigration Justice Fund. So please go support those charities as well. With that out of the way, let's just jump into it because it's been 2 weeks. So last we were here, we talked about Against All Odds, and we briefly touched upon the episode that was airing that week as well. We've had a little bit of a break, and now we are back to things. And dare I say, between the 2 weeks and the 2 TNAs that have happened last week and this week, I'm gonna be honest, I feel like it's been there's been some fun stuff, but I feel like we're crawling out of snail's pace towards Slammiversary. I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys, I don't know how we're going to fill 3 weeks of television still. But I digress. We'll discuss everything and unpack everything as we go through this. So let's just jump straight into it because we kick things off with the internet sensation. Everybody loves him, or at least I think they do. Mr. Joe Hendry opens up TNA this week, and he finally addresses the TNA universe, apologizes for losing the TNA championship to somebody who don't even work in this company, and NXT's Trick Williams, but he vows to get it back, and he's going to fight for it and all that stuff. I love this promo. If it was like 2 weeks ago, we are like problem. And Papa, also you can attest to this because he also covers NXT with me. Battleground was 3.5 weeks ago when Trick took the title from Joe. Since then, we have yet to hear Joe address losing the title. I feel like we kind of told the story out of order after that because then Frankie Kazarian challenged him to a match like last week or the week before that. And now here we find ourselves, Joe giving this promo, and we come to find out, which we're going to talk a little bit, that Joe's getting a rematch. Again, I love Joe. I love this promo, but I feel we should have used this like 3.5 weeks ago. I'm so sorry, Joe. I love you, Hendry. Papa, also, I'm gonna go to you first. So we talked about it over in NXT. We talked about it here in TNA. How did you feel about the promo? And do you think this was the wrong place to put this in the timeline of events?
Yes. You know me, I'm like president of Joe Hendry fan club, but also me and like people talking when they should be wrestling. And even though I do love Joe, I was like, that was time wasted that we could have been watching people like pummel each other. And there are plenty of people that need to do that. So I think we need to stop with the talking and start with the, with the bunking. Because even later on in the program, there's just too much talking going on. And
there's a lot of
get it
backstage this episode.
Yeah, I get this is like lead up to a big pay-per-view, and so they're just sort of like biding their time because and I know I texted you earlier about a match in particular.
We're gonna talk about it.
I'm just like, why? Don't do that. Don't do that crap. First of all, don't treat us like we're idiots. And that's exactly what they were doing. And that really kind of pissed me off because I was like, give me some, because I know that there are plenty of feuds going on that we could have highlighted and could have done something fun and cool with, but instead you gave us that crap on a shingle that's later in the show. So, and that was kind of for the whole episode, I was just sort of like, what in the hell? We start off with this. And again, like I said, I love Joe Hendry, and you know this, Mikey. I am the president of the Joe Hendry fan club.
You bought the satin shirt for the reason.
Yes. And I will beat people down who don't like him. I will. But there was too much talk. I'm like, Joe, I love you. You should have done this a long time ago, and we don't need to hear this right now. Can we just get into the fights? Please?
Right.
Thanks. Or, hey, midway through this 400-page dissertation that you gave us, someone needed to hit you with a chair. I mean, something needed to happen, and it didn't happen. Yeah. And I was
waiting for Trick to come out and do something.
I was too.
I'm like, you came out at the wrong time, but not really. We're going to talk about you, Trick, in a little bit.
That's the thing with like any sort of opening promo like this. Like, it needs to do something besides just, hi, I'm here. This is where I'm at. Thanks, everybody, and walk out. Like there needs to be some back and forth. It needs to be like, it can start as a monologue, but it has to end as a dialogue. It's sorry, theater nerd coming out. It's
no, it needs to end. It needs to end with a chair to the head. Is what it needs.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
because it needs to escalate.
This was one of those things that needed to just be solved by an email. Like, that was the longest. Like, oh my God. I was watching. I literally, like, so they give you a 30-second fast forward button. And after about like less than 30 or 45 seconds of that, I was like, okay, like Mikey said, this should have been like last week, a couple weeks ago. Like, you should have done this when the time was correct. So we're just going to skip through this. and then hope that Papa Oso doesn't punch me because I'm like bad mouthing Joe Hendry. But it yeah, a chair to the head, or even like somebody just stepping out on the ring and making that like just death staring and pointing at him, and then they just turn around and walk back. Something that was so long. That's what she said.
I will say and I know because I am more of a newcomer to TNA than a lot of the other people, pretty much anyone else on this channel right now. As someone who really only knew Joe Hendry thanks to memes and, see clips on YouTube and stuff like that, having seen him for the last couple of weeks just be kind of like down in the dumps, not like super excited to be there, this showed more spirit than he's had the last couple of weeks, which I did appreciate. But I also agree that it needed to escalate. It needed to go somewhere, whether that was to death stares to an opponent or a chair to the back or whatever. It was a one-note promo, but it was nice to see him a little more back to his usual self without going and I was worried that it was sort of he was going towards like a gimmick change kind of thing, or potentially even a heel turn, but but yeah, no, it like I said, it was nice to see him show some signs of life.
Mm-hmm. Joe has had an interesting trajectory since October. I mean, when he was feuding with Nick Nemeth for the TNA World title, they did some questionable changes to his character that didn't necessarily align with it, and then they realized that it wasn't working, so they went back to what we know. But speaking of which, we also get confirmation that at Slammiversary, because I completely forgot that Joe never reenacted his rematch clause, which I was like, wrestling programs still do that. I keep forgetting that. I was like, oh yeah. We do get confirmation, well, at this point in the show, that Joe is enacting his rematch clause. He will be facing Trick Williams for the TNA World Championship at Slammiversary. By the end of the show, I don't think it's no longer just the one-on-one, but we're going to talk about it when we get to a certain promo at the very end of the show. But speaking of which, we get a backstage promo of Killer Kelly. Killer Kelly, I love you. Girl, we should be seeing you decimate like local talent, enhancement talent, whatever we need to, because right now it's just a lot of talking. And I know we're keeping you away for your match next week. But I want to see, I like her. The promo did what it needed to do. I just wish that TNA would have her in the ring and just be squashing people left and right to be like, oh, damn, she's serious. She's about to go kill and murderize Masha next week in the championship match, because since winning the 8-4-1 match 2 weeks ago, it's just been a lot of talking. We haven't seen her wrestle since then. So I'm like, I'm still excited for the match. I just wish that we saw you fight somebody, which is another thing. I feel like I'm just going to put this out here now. I feel like I'm going to be saying that a lot this episode, so please bear with me. Killer Kelly, I love you, but I want to see you fight somebody, but we're going to have to wait till next week.
I love you, but do something.
Yes, I love you, but do something. Anyways.
Yeah, with a name like Killer Kelly, you'd think that there'd be like bodies spelling out a name, like bodies spelling out Masha when she's done or something like that. No, but again, another one that could have been solved by an email.
But this has always been TNA's problem.
Yeah.
When they're leading up to a pay-per-view, this is what we get. And I guarantee you next week will be identical. It's a lot of talking. It's a lot of threatening. It's a lot of I'm coming for yous. And it's like, yeah, we know. We know.
Everybody's recouping. So when Slammiversary happens, they'll be at full tilt.
And I'm just like, no. But that's the thing, is that there's so many other members of the locker rooms that we could be featuring, but they don't. And that irritates the absolute crap out of me. Mm-hmm. There's so many that won't be at the pay-per-view, or hardly ever do we see them at pay-per-views. There are plenty of independent solo fighters that we could be doing some really cool stuff with, instead of just giving a lot of lip service, which drives me crazy.
Yep.
You know, and there's a lot of people that they could be giving some screen time to.
Sure.
You know, especially our newer folks who have been brought into the company, but they don't.
And
they keep them in the back, and you see them in the background.
Well, and especially the thing with that, like when we have, you know, 2 kind of extended promos, and I know this is not the next match, and we're going to get to it. That clusterfuck of a battle royale. Like, you could have put a tag match in there.
We don't talk about it.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
Yeah, we are going to talk about it.
But like,
I'm like,
okay, extended promos and then cram as many people into the ring as humanly fucking possible.
Yeah. I have words about that battle royale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We lost the plot with that. I was just like, okay.
Wait, there was plot? Shit, that didn't look like plot at all.
No, that's the whole irony of it.
Yeah,
Killer Kelly, we love you.
It was less plot, more plots.
Yeah, plot holes. Anyways, so we finally get to our first match. It took us like 15 minutes to get into the show. So we get a one-on-one match between one half of our tag team champs and Mr. Ryan Nemeth taking on one half of the Rascals and Zachary Wentz. So this match was fine. I love Zach. I really do. Ryan exists. Here's the thing. Like, Ryan exists to be a punching bag because that is his character, right? He's just very arrogant, leading into his Hollywood hunk persona. Mm-hmm. It is what it is, right? I was like, I don't like you. You're doing your job. My thing is now I'm wondering how we're supposed to pull everything together to tie all the teams that are going to be involved in Slammiversary. Because once again, they're like, they didn't even wait until like they fought. Didn't wait for anything. They're just like, by the way, commentary says this. Don't forget, these 2 teams plus 2 other teams will be fighting for the tag team championships at Slammiversary. And I'm just like, huh? I was like, cool. How did we get here? Like, I was like, how did we get here with all 4 of them? Like, the Rascals, I get. Because they still want the titles back. Shenanigans went on against all odds. Totally get that. You know, Hardys, they get their rematch, which I thought we had at Under Siege, but I guess not. But it is what it is. And then First Class, I'm like, huh? So let's talk about this match first, and then we can discuss. While I'm excited for the Fatal 4-Way, how do we get here?
I like. And again, and I say this as the newcomer, like the guy that's still very new to TNA. The Rascals make me feel old. Because, like, I'm watching this, it's like, okay, I know a large part of it is because I grew up in the Attitude Era, and I'm sitting here going, like, I was almost too mature for DX when it came out, and this is just DX again. And now I'm sitting here like, yeah, you're DX, except now you can be more explicit with your weed references, you know. And I'm sitting here like, yeah, like maybe 13-year-old me would have loved this, but I'm 40. Like, this is just juvenile. But once again, I'm sitting here, me calling it juvenile is like, maybe I'm just old. And I am not the target demographic for this anymore, and that's fine. They're trying to get younger kids in here and then be like, "Hey guys, we're down with the weeds," and it's okay now. Which, of course, I have to imagine, like, and that's so many weed references coming up between the Rascals and Matt Riddle. I have to imagine somewhere in the back of his mind, Rob Van Dam is fucking pissed. Like, after how many wellness violations for just smoking a joint? Yeah, no, fuck that. And now everyone's like, Matt Riddle's like 420, bro. And the Rascals can come out with, you know, a bong rip in their entrance music. And RVD's over here just like, this is fucking bullshit.
This, you know, speaking of Matt Riddle, that was an interesting. That's what I thought was happening last night when me and another host, Adolfo, were watching MLW last night. But that's besides the point. I love the Rascals, but then again, I've been loving the Rascals since they were a trio with, Wes Lee, who is over in NXT now. So they've been a whole thing. And of course, Myron Reed pops in and out for all of this. So this was fine. I like Zach. It was really fun. I mean, I always like the Rascals. I'm just worried because I'm really rooting for them to win this match at Slammiversary, which is really tough to say because I know some people. I love the Hardys, don't get me wrong, but I always wonder where are we going with the Rascals because they kind of just been sitting. For all intents and purposes, they've been chilling in the lazy river. I'm like, when are we gonna throw them into the tide pool, like the tidal wave pool? Like, I need them to be doing something. This match was okay. Like,
that was fine.
It was okay. Barbosa, any thoughts as our resident, Rascals person?
Well, the thing about the Rascals is this version of the Rascals is not the one I like.
Right.
I like the previous incarnation of the Rascals, the ones that were like the spray paint and the true sort of like
they were like skater boys instead
and sort of street punks. Yeah, street punks, and it worked for them. And it's what made me hate them, but
when they were
also
heels.
loved it. Yeah, and I loved it, and it was so great. And I want them to get back to that. I want them to get back to the graffiti and everyone. When I saw them live, they were trying a little bit of that, and and it was like, come on, commit to it. I need you to commit back to that. Come out with the, because one of my favorite things, and it was always predictable, and I always used to make a big deal out of it, was the spray can. As they would sneak the spray can and spray their opponents in the face. And I miss those Rascals. Because they were, you never really knew where you stood with them, which was great. You never knew. See, now they're sort of, and I know it's because Zachary went through some like injury stuff. Not Zachary.
If it wasn't Zach, it was Trey. There was always over the last couple months. It was on and off with them.
Zach had a really gnarly moonsault botch at last week. Last Impact.
That was rough to watch last week.
Yeah,
I thought he was out after that.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, this was an okay match. It was all right. I mean, I thought it was kind of meh. Why is it here? Oh yeah, because we're leading up to a pay-per-view.
Which
I think that Ryan Nemeth is a complete jack off. I mean, he is. I mean, and it's so funny, and it's a great character because when I saw it was at Genesis, when I saw him at Genesis, it identical, and it was funny. It was actually really funny in person. When I'm watching it on television, I just want to just punch him in the face,
reach to the screen and punch it.
Yeah, seriously. But when I saw him live, I was like, dude, I love you. You're so awesome. But I don't know. This match felt like it could have not happened, and I wouldn't have known any better.
That's
it would have been
true.
like, wait, is there something missing here? No, I would never have known.
So again, we talked about this match, and now let's talk about the loss of the plot. Because don't get me wrong, this ladder match is going to be baller. Not even going front. Everybody flying off ladders is great. I'm going to be looking at the Hardys though with holding my breath because I was like, listen, the last couple of ladder matches we had, Matthew and Jeffrey, whether it was but one or both of you, somebody always looked like they hit their head on the ladder. There was a table spot where Jeff, I thought, died at one point. Jeff also looking really hurt in the ladder match against Moose earlier in the spring. So this is a ladder match, fatal four-way. The Nemesis are defending their titles against the Rascals, the Hardys, and First Class. Again, Rascals, they want their lit back because the Nemesis were playing crazy against all odds. Hardys are enacting their rematch clause. Down. First Class. Why? I was like, where did you guys come from?
Yeah. I don't get this whole thing. I don't get this. This to me just feels like, hey, we've got all these people that the people like. Let's just throw them in a ring together and see what happens.
And then put ladders down.
Yeah. And absolutely. And I agree. The Hardys, someone's gonna die. I mean,
Yeah.
in one of these ladder matches,
especially with like.
I mean, although to be, sorry, go ahead.
Oh well, we saw. I mean, we see later on episode where they start bringing out tables and stuff with one of the 8 people that are in here, and so now it's going to be ladders. They're probably going to pull out tables, and there's probably going to be the Nemeths are going to be doing something sneaky. You know, they're going to. I'm with you. I'm kind of like, can we maybe separate this out? Like another tag team or something? I don't know.
And to be fair though, people have been saying someone's going to die when falling off a ladder about the Hardys for the better part of 20 years.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's very true.
I think it was was it the last one, Mikey, that I literally thought Matt died. I literally thought he was dead.
He looked like
he hit his head. He hit his head
hard.
Oh
yeah, that was. I think that was Sacrifice. No, it was Bound for Glory. That triple threat.
Yeah, that's one. That's the one.
Matt and Jeff. Matt went through a table, and it looked like he went through head first, which is dangerous. And then Jeff did a swanton off a ladder, but he didn't jump far enough because the ladder wiggled, and it looked like he hit the back of his head on one of the steps of the ladder, which was so really gnarly to catch live.
Yeah.
Ooh. Well, on TV, not live in person.
But anyway, back to I don't understand this. I didn't get this.
Yeah,
I don't. There's no stakes involved here. I mean, honestly, because we know the Nemeths aren't going to lose. We know this. So I'm just like, what are the stakes here? What? Okay, the Hardys do their thing and they can't do it anymore. Oh, okay, big deal.
I know.
We know the Nemeths are not going to lose it.
Yeah. They're making TNA is making a really big deal that the ladder match is very synonymous with the Hardys, which is screaming to me they're probably not going to win, and I'm just like, don't do this to me. I mean, it is what it is. Is it going to be a spectacle? Yes. Am I going to enjoy myself? Yes. I just feel, and again, we talked about this before we started. Blessing and a curse of pre-taped episodes. This is one of the curses where we got the pre-tape stuff. I was just like, I feel like you could have announced this match with a little bit more development.
Yeah, because it doesn't make any sense.
I was like, again, the Hardys reenacting their rematch clause, cool. Rascals, kind of. First classes make a lot of sense to me, especially when we get to our main event, because AJ is involved with something else.
And especially, like, one of them is still injured.
Casey is still out, and who knows if he's going to be cleared by then.
Yeah,
I don't make any damn sense.
Anyways, let's move on. Again, I'm excited for this match, but we need more development of the plot.
Yep.
Trick Williams cuts a promo, and he's going to be in AJ's corner tonight. That's literally all there is to this one.
This was another useless one. This is another useless moment.
Be like, sir, where were you at the beginning of the show?
Yeah, I'm just anyway. You know me.
Anyways,
talking. Way too much talking.
Speaking of talking,
another segment backstage. So it starts off with a promo from Masha talking about her match against Killer Kelly next week for the championship. And then we get interrupted by NXT liaison Ariana Grace, aka Santino Marella's daughter, who we love seeing on our screens because she and Santino are fun together. She's working on a surprise that we'll get to see later tonight with TNA and NXT crossover. When we get there, I'm gonna lean heavily on you because I also have questions as to why is she here. We'll talk about it a little bit, but again, more talking to set some stuff up later in the show. There were some talking segments I liked. We're gonna get to the one that I liked. That was part of the show. I also included some of the social media stuff, so bear with me. What was this? Okay, so we get a knockouts battle royale, and this is to determine a number one contender for a future TNA Knockout World Championship. Cool, love that idea. Killer Kelly is still waiting to have her match next week, so why are we already booking another number one contender? Like,
you know what this was backstage, right? This was absolutely all of the knockouts getting together and say, like, I swear to God, if you don't put us on TV so we can get paid, we're walking out.
Or it was just the set manager going, okay, you go.
Just everybody.
No, you stay, Killer Kelly, you stay. We're gonna screw around with you later. Like, you'll get your email. You go.
You go.
Okay, we're good.
This match brought to you by Gary Oldman's character in Leon the Professional. Get me everyone. I'm sorry. Everyone!
This was about everybody who wasn't involved in something next week, like for real.
Yep.
Now, this was a mess because we start immediately and we already at this point, we literally get rid of all the tag teams. So the Inspiration is gone really quickly. The Elegance brand is gone. Well, at least we think.
Asterisk.
We're going to come back for that a little bit later. I'm going to be so for real. Everybody I enjoy all the knockouts. I really, really do. But we got some semblance of plot, but not until we got down to like the final 4.
So just real quick, who's the woman in the system? What's her name? Edwards?
Alicia Edwards. You want to know something?
The opening of that match, and like after they eliminate the Inspiration and the Elegance, everybody starts like pairing off, and she's just kind of standing there like, what the fuck am I supposed to do now? Like, no, there's like fucking whatever.
I mean, that's been Will like Papa also especially, you can attest to this. Like Alicia doesn't do a lot of the wrestling, and when she does, it's like kendo stick, punch, slap, kind of like baby's first fighter, if you will, which is very crazy. But anyways, so we get down to like the final 6. Alicia and Tasha Steelz team up. They eliminate, our new girls from across the pond, Mila Grace and Hudson Harley. I was about to say Harley Cameron. I was like, wrong promotion. And then Tasha eliminates Alicia, which I was just like, everybody cheered for that. I was like, yes, there we go. Tasha gets eliminated. So then we get down to the final 4. So final 4 is Tesha Blanchard, Victoria Crawford, formerly known as Alicia Fox. We have Indy Hartwell and Zaya Brookside. So Zaya goes, and then Victoria goes. Then we have Tessa and Indy start fighting. They're both on the ring apron. We're like, okay, I'm rooting for Indy here. And then perfect zoom in to the back. Ash by Elegance pops up like a groundhog on Groundhog's Day.
She pops up like a soon meme.
I was just like,
soon.
And I was just like, hold the phone. I was like, oh, no, I see where this is going. And sure enough, we were proven correct because Ash gets into the ring. She pushes Indy and Tessa off, and the winner of this battle royale and getting a future TNA Knockout World Championship match is Ash by Elegance. On the one hand, I love me some Ash. We love Ash in this household. Number 2, this is just a general issue I always have across any promotion. Why is your tag team champ going after the singles gold? Why are we not defending these tag titles yet? Like, what is happening? I was like, please listen, I love Ash, but I'm like, please don't tell me this is Masha's match for Slammiversary, because I'm kind of gonna be more pressed than a panini. I'm not even gonna lie. Oh, TNA, I love you, but these decisions, man, like, what are we doing?
So, and it's good to know that Mikey is an Ash man.
I'm an Ash man.
I'm like, my mind is still trying to process this. I was like, I love Ash, but this is not boding well for Masha's match at Slammiversary. I'm like, what are we doing, you guys?
No, this was a train wreck.
Yep. Yeah, the whole thing was just
because Masha should be facing off at Slammiversary with Killer Kelly.
That
is what should be happening at Slammiversary. Not 100%. Ash. And I do love Ash as well. Ash is my girl, as you know. But Ash, she should be fighting Ash next week, and she should be fighting Killer Kelly at Slammiversary. It makes more sense, and it creates a better story. I don't even know what this story is with Ash. I really don't.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I think it's with the other wrestler that came in after Masha, JC James. I'm sorry, I know nothing about NXT.
Well, speaking of which, so Ash wins, but then JC appears. So
JC
I'm just
comes
sitting
in.
here and I'm just like,
is this gonna be?
I think if there's two number one contenders, if you've got Killer Kelly and Ash by Elegance as number one, basically is both number one contenders, I think we're gonna have an extended feud between Masha and Killer Kelly, and Ash is basically gonna challenge JC Jane.
Well, which
would be a really interesting mirror of what's going on in the men's division, with an NXT champion holding the TNA title, and then they're going to sort of flip the script on that and have a TNA women's wrestler hold the NXT championship.
So I thought about this, right? And so I was like, okay, maybe Ash will go after JC in the NXT Women's Championship. I was like, that would be a cool swerve. There's only one tiny little problem about this, and Papa, also we can fill in our other constituents too. This could go one of two ways, and I don't like the second option. But if we are going towards an Ash versus JC for the NXT Women's Championship, which would be cool, and Papa, also that means that JC has to go through and beat Jordan at Evolution the week before.
There's no way. There is no way JC Jane is going to beat the shit brick house. I mean, seriously, the
Muscle Mommy house, Jordan Grace.
There's no way.
Here's the thing: like on paper, she should not. The problem is that we still got Jasmine Nix and Fallon Henley running around to make it a numbers game for JC. So
That's
JC the week before is going to defend her NXT Women's Championship against formerly TNA Knockout, now in NXT, Jordan Grace at Evolution 2, which is a whole different conversation that you can tune in on Sunday, because it's just like, we got like 2.5 weeks, y'all, and we only got one match. Like, chop, what are we doing? But that means that JC's going to have to get through Jordan and this is a big if we are getting Ash versus JC for this title.
Real quick, I'm sorry to interrupt, but you know what I think is going to happen? I think this is a JC Jane going after the TNA Women's Championship belt.
Oh, gosh, no.
I really think that's what this is.
So, wait. So it's going to be another women's champion belt collector trying to
except well, I mean, hopefully what I'm hoping is that Jordan Grace takes the NXT from JC first, and then JC Jane is going to come in and try to take the TNA women's championship belt from Masha. I really believe
it just smacks of someone in TNA and or WWE looking at Mercedes Moné and going like, I want that, but we don't have enough belts.
That's what this feels like. Since TNA and NXT have this new friendship,
partnership, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, whatever you want to call it. I really do. I think that we're going to start seeing those titles flipping.
Yeah,
from company to company. And I think this is one of those. I really do, which is kind of like, ugh. It's cringy to think JC Jane is the TNA Women's Knockout. That's kind of but
I can see that happening. I mean, largely because I am an AEW fan and I'm used to seeing that between AEW and Ring of Honor's belts, sort of jumping back and forth on through that programming. But on top of that, AEW's wrestlers are given permission to like go to Japan and go to other markets to win titles there. So, and which is how you get a situation like Mercedes Moné right now. And
he has 6 belts.
Right? It's
just like the CMLL women's one.
What is it? Botchamania had a great bit the other day, great meme at the end of their thing the other day of when Tony Storm knocked over Mercedes Moné and she dropped all the belts. They did the Sonic the Hedgehog music, and when she drops the rings, exactly.
This is a lot of convoluted, and this is like we got like 2 sets of writers. We're trying to get this TNA NXT thing going, which is cool and everything, but we got way too many things going on right now, and I'm just like, okay. So we're not done with the knockouts division. We're gonna talk about you in a little bit too, because yeah, this was a mess. Now, this has me excited though. I'm not even going front, y'all. This was one of the backstage segments I did like. So, of course, we got the return last week of Jake something. Yes, that is his wrestling name. Don't at me. So, Jake came to the honor to defend Tommy Dreamer after, Mance Warner being, Mance Warner. So, he's here to fight Mance, which we're going to talk about when we preview next week. But he has a confrontation with our TNA International Champion, Steve Macklin. And I was like, this is the match I want to see at Slammiversary. This has me excited. I was like, give me this match.
I did think it was really funny when he was like, I'm coming for you, Steve Macklin. And then he turns and it's Steve Macklin right there. It's like, I don't know why I was talking to the camera when you were standing right there.
That's TNA for you. Yes, I'm very excited about this match too. Holy goodness. This is going to be so good. It's probably the one match for right at the moment that I'm the most excited for at Slammiversary, sadly.
Well, here's the thing. I think the matches are going to be fun, but if TNA wants to earn some points back for me, certain people need to walk out as the winners at Slammiversary, which we'll talk about when we get to certain things. But we have yet to get official word whether this is happening at Slammiversary. TNA, please let this happen at Slammiversary. I beg you. Especially now that it seems that we are officially done with Macklin and Eric Young, and it seems that we're putting Mance Warner on the back burner for him and Macklin too. So we'll see what happens with all of that. But Jake, happy to have you back. I'm excited to see you fight next week. All right, Tessa, I'm gonna briefly talk about you. This is setting up a feud with her and Indy. We've been getting these backstage segments where Indy's just like, girl, like you are not the second coming of Jesus of wrestling. You need to calm yourself down. And Victoria Crawford in the back is me. She's like, girl, what are we doing? I'm happy to see Victoria here. She has not officially signed, but I am happy to get more women in this division. I'm just very sad that you're paired up with Tessa, but we're continuing this feud to build it up between Tessa and Indy, in which I hope the Hartwell walks out the winner of this feud.
See, she's teamed with a black person. She's not racist.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry. I had
good
to.
night, everybody.
It was right there. I had to.
Well, hold up. Yes.
Well, actually, the black girl is in the background.
I haven't had to pull this one out for a little bit. No, but like as badly funny as that is, radio will it's kind of true. I'm like we're just TNA continues to ignore this. I have given up on them like having her address this. I mean, I didn't think she was going to in general to begin with when she came back at the beginning of this year. But but you're doing a good job, TNA. You make me want to root for Indy to win. And Indy, I hope you do win, girl. I hope you do win this feud. We move on.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't sure what a calls to arms match was going to be, right? So I'm thinking, okay, are we gonna get like some weaponry? Like, what's happening?
Yeah.
So a calls to arms match is basically a regular match, but the only thing that's different about it is that when the bell rings, you got to escape your tied rope first, and then you begin fighting. I was like, you could have just had a strap match then, if that's what we were going to call it. Well, give me a strap match.
Except they're not strapped to each other; they're strapped to the ring.
That's the other thing too.
So, like, it's.
As soon as I saw the ropes, I was like, okay, they're gonna be tied to each other. It's gonna be like a strap match, but with rope.
Just call it stupid.
Yeah, it was I understand. Like, when it comes to wrestling, especially when you're trying to come up with new stipulations, new kinds of matches, you got to throw a lot of spaghetti at the wall and hope some of it sticks. And sometimes it just doesn't stick. There is a part of me that wants to give them credit for that throwing of the spaghetti. However, you need to cook the spaghetti first.
I mean, and then the calls to arms part of this match didn't even really matter because as soon as that bell rings, we have John Skyler, doing the normal thing and trying to untie himself first, and then Ali pulling out some safety scissors from his knee pad to cut the rope and then begin fighting John Skyler. John Skyler's finally to get free thanks to the help of Jason Hotch and Tasha Steeles. Tasha pulling double duty, girl. We love you. They cut him out. And then for a little bit, I was just like, this was like more action, but essentially this could be boiled down to Ali squashing poor John Skyler, man. And I was like, ugh. I knew Skyler wasn't going to win, but I was like, y'all couldn't have gave me like 4 more minutes and then I wouldn't have been so hard on this.
Yeah, like Mustafa Ali is still probably my favorite wrestler in TNA as a performer. I think he does a really good job playing the heel. He's like incredibly talented as both a technician and a high flyer. And like the little bits that I've seen of him in like the Order 4 stable, I've enjoyed. Today, although I think today was the first time that I started to like looking at it. I'm sitting here looking, it's like, okay, it's the bloodline again. And like, however, it's imploding faster than the bloodline did, which in terms of pacing a wrestling thing,
we skipped like 200 chapters. Like,
exactly, and I'm okay with that. That's like the bloodline definitely went on and still is going on too long, and which, don't get me wrong, I will say that to my a Jacob Fatu, JC Cobb, Jeff Cobb, JC Mateo,
still, but I digress.
Yes, same. That is still a dream match of mine for this year. Like that is like I want that, like, because having been a fan of both of those guys, like when they were in the indies and stuff, yeah, no, that is going to be a friggin' barn burner of a match, unless WWE creative kneecaps them, which is very possible. But like I said, Mustafa Ali, he's fantastic. This match was hot garbage because of the stipulation.
I'm so mad. I was like, I really wanted to. I was like, I have no idea what this is, but I'm willing to give it a try. By the end of this, I was just like, don't do this again. Or, set down some rules for the future if you want to bring this back. I'm just saying.
Yep.
Just have a strap match. Like, we could have just had that, but it is what it is. So, after this match, Ali begins to beat up on John Skyler some more. Jason Hodge tries to step in, gets pushed aside and knocked out. Tasha Steeles comes in. Ali grabs a chair. He's like, you know what, Tasha, we're going to fight you and everybody in here. So Ali has truly lost his mind. And he's ready to start swinging this chair. But then we get some theme music. We hit to the front. And this is the TNA debut of Cedric Prime Alexander. Yes, that is not hyperbole. That is how that is how he's now being introduced to. The reason I know this is because that is how they introduced him at Defy Wrestling about 2 weeks ago when he faced Starboy Charlie. So Cedric Alexander gets here. He gets into the ring. We can all assume.
And somewhere Logan Paul is pissed off that he didn't grab that name first.
Oh, we try not to talk about Logan here. So, anywho, so I'm happy that Cedric is here. We can assume he's the one that Tasha's been calling for the last couple of weeks to be in here. It is a ghost of Ali's past from the 205 days and the indies, which makes me super excited. Ali grabs Tasha to leave. Cedric grabs Tasha. Tasha is this. Okay, so this is just a small thing. I don't like that we were playing Tasha in the middle. Like, I was like, that imagery of both of them holding on to her. I'm like, ooh, where is my Boricua badass that I know you to and love you, Tasha? But that's the whole thing. Tasha sides with Cedric. Ali tries to get in Cedric's face, but Order 4 backs up Cedric. And Ali just comes to the realization that he has lost control of Order 4. And so we are probably getting Ali and Cedric for the next couple weeks, which I was like, yes, I'm actually okay with this because in ring, this is going to be crazy.
There is a part of me that marked out a little bit seeing that logo for Cedric Alexander and him calling himself Prime, because I am related to a giant Transformers nerd, so it was just like, oh yeah, no, this is Cedric roll out.
Yeah. So another possible Slammiversary match? We don't know. We'll find out in the next 3.5 weeks. But this is a non-title feud I would love to see develop some more. So
yeah,
happy to see Cedric here. The girls are fighting, or at least Matt Cardona is fighting the system, which I was just like, Matt, I love you. I'm sorry. So backstage, the system is getting up in Matt's face. Matt's just, especially what happened last week after Matt and the hometown man, who we're going to talk about later in this episode, beat the system last week. Eddie Edwards does most of the talking, and then everybody's kind of just chiming in. Moose is like, I have a match I have to get ready to, so I don't want to deal with y'all right now, so I'm gonna leave. The rest of the system leaves, and then Matt Cardona and Brian Myers have a bit of a stare down before Brian Myers leaves. So I was just like, just give me the match. Let's have the best friends fight. Like, we know where we're going with this one. And I was like, why is Matt fighting a group of 6? Like, what is happening? Matthew Cardona, I love you, but still.
So I have probably again a newcomer's observation, shall we say? You know who Moose reminds me of a lot?
Yeah,
is Brock Lesnar.
Oh my god!
But like in terms of the size and ability in the ring, and just complete and utter inability to cut a promo.
Oh, I mean,
like this one in particular,
forever.
This one in particular, the entire thing, he's looking up here, and it's like, bro, I can see the cue card that you're reading from in the reflection of your eyes. Okay,
can you not lip sync what the other people are trying to say? That would be great. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's and. Yeah, no, it like I'm amused that they call him the face of the franchise, because he is certainly not its voice.
No, he is not. And Papa, also, we've been saying this. Like, I thought we were getting the breakup of the system earlier this year, but apparently they're like, we thought about it and we decided not to. I'm like, you should have pulled the trigger. I'm just saying. So Matt is going to have to be dealing with these guys. So as the weeks come out, we'll see how Matt has to deal with all of this. I really wanted to like this match. I really, really did. There's just 2 points of contention for me that made me not like this match. Number one, it was hella short. Yeah. I was like, listen, I know the Hardys are getting up there in age, but we have previously seen them in TNA go for like 20, 25 minutes, 15 minutes if you're going to keep it on the shorter end. I was like, that was point of contention number 1. Point of contention number 2, and this is, I'm going to let Papa also talk about this one because we talked about this in our little text thread. I know of the Northern Armory, aka Sinner and Saints, of the tag team here that was fighting in this match. I know them in the Indies, and they badass in the Indies. They are Defy Wrestling champions. They put on a banger 2 weeks ago in the main event of Defy's wrestling event, and for a 2 out of 3 Falls Tag Team Championship match. It was baller. I did not see the skills in this match. I was just like, I don't know what's happening. I don't like Sinner and Saint paired with Eric Young. Northern Armory needs to go away. I need them to go back to being Sinner and Saint when they first arrived in TNA. And Eric, listen, I love Eric Young. He has been in this business forever, but whatever this crazy nut character arc that we're currently going through, me don't like. I was like, what is happening? So we talked a little bit about like Sinner and Saint have not been presented well so far since being in TNA.
No, they have not. And I think they need to get away from Eric Young immediately, because otherwise, I mean, their whole entrance into this whole match, it was so dumb. I'm like, dudes, you're better than this. You're so better than this. And I just hate Eric Young's influence on all of this. And I remember when this whole thing happened, it's because Josh Alexander was leaving. And then, someone had to fill the void, which they really didn't. They could have literally let the Northern Armory be their own thing because they're actually really good at wrestling. But I think personally that Eric Young is holding them back and he needs to go away, like out of the picture. And they need to become their own like tag team and become a true like threat to the titles, because right now they are not a threat to any titles as long as Eric Young is involved. They're not, because they're gonna basically bow down to this Eric Young storyline until he goes away, and they're gonna always be kind of in the background. They're secondary, and that just drives me insane because they're so good, but until they separate them from Eric Young, they're not going anywhere. They're not going anywhere anytime soon. Sadly.
That like I would like to see them. Like I will probably end up going on YouTube and looking up, clips of them as Sinner and Saint, just because I am interested to see what they can do. Honestly, I think the real, like, I'm just gonna say it. I think the real weak link of this match was Matt. Like, this was like, there were a couple of like sloppy moves. Like, I won't go so far as to call them botches, but like there were a couple of moves in there that like that was not as clean as anyone would have wanted it. And it's funny because this is like that, like I think like the thought that I had while I was watching this match was that like this is probably the first time that I've seen Matt Hardy show his age. Like, it's like he's usually really good. And like for a minute there, I was thinking like it's the Hardys showing their age. Jeff can still go. Like, Jeff was on point in this match. Like, I think he's a little like, I think they sort of fed into sort of the legend of the Hardys a little bit too hard and didn't give Northern Armory enough of a chance to show what they can do, and sort of deferred to the Hardys in that. But because of like Matt being sort of off his game and Jeff being so on top of his game, that it just made for this. It made the spots where they tried to set, like the earlier stuff with Matt didn't work, and then when Jeff gets in there, he just steamrolls him. So it was a squash match basically, by almost out of necessity.
I think you're on mute.
I knew that.
I was gonna say, are you saying something?
I was cursing and I did not want to be heard. No, just
Good cover.
I was disappointed with this. I was just like, you guys, I love you. Hardys, I love you, but nah. So I was like, all right, this was fine. It is what it was. But I will say this is something that I did like, and I was just like, I swear to God, TNA, if you don't give this title to Leon Slater at Slammiversary, I actually might riot. So Radio, to fill you in, so Leon has kind of been in and out of the X Division Championship scene since probably, I'm gonna be honest, probably since November. So him and Moose have kind of crossed paths, and I'm gonna be so for real. Leon was so close to win that thing at Rebellion back in April, and the stupid spear as he was falling down from the Ultimate X, scaffolding to have Moose retain. I was just like, this is some bullshit. But anyways, so Leon cuts this promo, very passionate promo, and I'm just like, listen, I was just watching. I wasn't really paying attention to the words that were coming out of Leon's mouth, because I was just like, I am so behind you, Leon. You better walk out of Slammiversary as the winner. Like, it is time. This Moose had all this thing forever. I need Leon to finally be able to take it. And I'm just like, let the youngest in charge finally run with this championship. It is long overdue. And so I'm just like, I'm Team Leon. I'm biased. He is my bias. This was the promo that I needed. I was like, this was the talking segment that I did like. Please, TNA, don't fuck this up.
Yeah, that would be really unfortunate to have, because like he's starting to gain speed, and I like watching Leon Slater doing his stuff because there's just something about him that is he's that new blood that, like you said, radio with Matt kind of showing his age, if you will, having. I mean, obviously Leon can't be a new Hardy, but he is a new Hardy in essence. And so it's kind of nice to see that torch getting passed down, at least for me. I like seeing stuff like that. So I'm like, yeah, like Mikey said, don't F this up.
Please let Leon win. That is the only thing I am asking TNA from Slammiversary. Everything else can be fine, but this is the one thing we can't mess up. So please don't mess this up. Yeah, like I said, Moose versus Slater, Leon Slater for the X Division Championship.
He's getting his revenge. Yeah, he's getting his revenge.
Please, because if Leon does not walk out, I legit don't know who's gonna take it off Moose then. Like, I legit don't know.
Yeah.
I legit do not know, because nobody else has been in this X Division scene except for Leon and Moose. So please don't mess this up. I got a chuckle out of this. So this is after Eric Young gets ejected from the tag team match. And so security is guiding him through, and him and the hometown man, who is totally not Cody Deaner in a wrestling mask, have some words. And then I was just, again, this crazy character for Eric Young is not doing it for me, but I busted up laughing so hard when he tried to put on like the ski mask on. I was like, no, just keep it off. Be like, no, keep it off, Eric Young. I don't understand why. I was just like, what are we doing? Why are we trying to embody Ski Mac the Slump God? Like, what is happening in this world right now?
You're ruining the moment, Eric. Take the mask off.
So I don't know where this is going, but listen, Cody Deaner / totally not Cody Deaner, aka the hometown man. I've actually enjoyed this, so we're gonna see it. And I think he's actually doing what we said a couple weeks ago, where everywhere he goes, it's just a new city's like team jersey or whatever, which is fantastic.
Yes, perfect.
This shenanigans is what I'm here for. This was what I was not here for. So I'm not gonna say nothing. Moose wins this triple threat, but Papa, also, you had a lot of words to say in our text message. Like, I'm gonna just let you go off, sis.
And this match makes no damn sense in the grand scheme of anything other than grandstanding. And it was a waste of time, of everybody's time. And it plays nothing into anything. And I am so tired of the system and their stupidity in what they think is good television. And this was the dumbest thing I have ever seen since I've been watching TNA. And I've seen some dumb shit in TNA.
Wow.
And this was the absolute dumbest thing. Moose is going to set up a three-man fight for himself to show Leon Slater how it's done and what's going to happen. And I'm just like, I felt horrible for these two wrestlers.
Yeah.
I was just like, are you kidding me right now? Are you freaking kidding me right now? And I'm just like, this was, oh my God, it pissed me off. This match pissed me off.
I was like, Moose.
To be fair, a couple of jobbers got a payday. Okay. Yes. At the very least, couple of jobbers got a payday. I have a friend of mine is an indie wrestler out in LA, and I have seen what she goes through, and they got paid. That's the important part.
And I got nothing against getting paid. That's awesome.
Yeah.
But this is who you are now.
Yeah.
Now that we've seen this match, these two wrestlers, this is who you are. This is all you'll be now until, some other extravagant thing happens. And then we kind of go, oh, I forgot about those guys. But I'm just like, I feel bad for them.
Or unless they take on a Rocky Maivia approach.
Yeah, well, fair, but you know, it's I don't know. It just this whole match just pissed me right the fuck off. I was so mad.
And here's the thing too: we've kind of seen this like slowly but surely downward trajectory of Moose. So when Moose got pinned and ultimately lost the TNA World Championship in that multi-man match at Slammiversary last year, because he was champion going in and he was eliminated second, we were like, oh my gosh, we are getting a new champion. And this is when Andrew was still covering with us too. And then that's when we got the Josh Alexander heel turn. And that's when Nick Nemeth won the title, yada, 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 set up the remainder of 2024. But Moose has kind of been on a downward trajectory because since losing that TNA World Championship and then losing in the rematch, like Moose has kind of just been chilling. He's now X Division champion out of necessity because you know Speedball Mike Bailey was out of the door, and so I'm just like, oh Moose, I love you, but we need to figure out what we're doing. And so of course, then as soon as the match is over, Moose is continuing to beat up on our indie talent, in which Leon Slater gets in, and then they have the stare off, which then made me reiterate, TNA, don't fuck this up. Leon Slater needs to win. Please let this man win. Anyways, we move on. So let's preview what's happening next week on TNA, which I was just like, looking at this card, I'm just like, -1 match. I'm like, yo, this episode's going to be fire. Though I have questions. So question number 1, we are getting Tessa Blanchard and Victoria Crawford versus the Inspiration. And so question number 1, I thought we were building towards the Inspiration versus the House of Elegance for the tag titles. Are we just not doing that now? Like what happened? Like 2 weeks ago, Inspiration came back at Against All Odds. What happened? Like, so are we putting that on the back burner? Is that going to come up in the next couple weeks? But the House of Elegance tag teams championship match with them and the Inspiration, I guess, is on the back burner. But we're getting Inspiration versus Victoria Crawford and Tessa Blanchard. I'm very interested to see who loses and who takes the pin. So that's going to be fun. We are getting our TNA World Knockouts Championship match. It is going to be a chain match between Masha Slamovich and Killer Kelly. Love it. Why is it not on Slammiversary? Question 2. That's where I'm like, questions. And I'm just like, we couldn't have padded this out for... Okay, sure. I'm not the booker of TNA. I wouldn't know. We're also getting Jake Something versus Mance Warner. I'm like, yes, give me violence. This is going to be fun. But then the odd one out is Trey Miguel versus Nick Nemeth. And I'm just like, why? I was like, why? So again.
Well, they did one. Now they got to do the other.
I mean, yes. But I'm like,
yeah, it's like a guaranteed win for Nick. It's like, you know, because Zach already won against, you know, so.
I'm so mad that Trey always ends up on the losing stick of the Rascals lately, and I'm just like,
it's like the I mean, they used to do that. They've done that since time immemorial. Like there were absolutely matches back in the day of like during the Hardys, Dudleys, and Edge and Christian. There was like 1 week it would be Edge versus Bubba Ray Dudley versus Matt Hardy. Next week it would be Christian versus Jeff Hardy versus Devon. It's.
Mm-hmm. Yep. They didn't care about Gangrel. He just go sit down somewhere. You're fine. Just go sit down.
So yeah, I'm like, questions. I still think it's gonna be a fun episode to talk about next week. But anyways, so let's get into our main event, and I'm gonna be so for real. I already knew this was gonna be a spectacle, and I thoroughly enjoyed this. Of course, this is probably, and this is not saying much. This was my favorite match, but that's because everything else was either a mess or I didn't really care for.
This saved the episode.
This literally saved the episode, not even going fun. And there was a little part of me that thought, I was like, oh God, if AJ actually wins, I don't know what I would do with myself.
There was a point. I was like, he's going to get pinned. And my look was the same look that AJ did when he kicked out. I pretty much had that exact same look.
This match, I love this match not only was it a great match, but So my exposure to Mike Santana was when he was in AEW, tag teaming with Ortiz, and sort of teamed up with Eddie Kingston against the Jericho Appreciation Society, which was a solid feud. I mean, again, the JAS went on a little too long, as wrestling stables tend to do these days, especially heel ones. Yep. But because of that, like, there was a lot of that where he was kind of playing second fiddle to Eddie Kingston, which it's Eddie Kingston. That's easy to do. Dude's a bit of a personality. Eddie, we miss you. Get better soon. We need you back.
Seriously.
Fucking love that guy. And like, I find myself listening to his entrance music and watching like clips of his promos just because it's like I need the fix, you know. Especially his promo against CM Punk. Oh
my god,
masterpiece!
That was a wild time.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, being able to see Mike Santana like get some spotlight, you know, was great. Like, to see what this guy can actually do, and like, yeah, this guy is like, dude. Like, I'm gonna say this as an AEW. I say this as an AEW fan. Dude was wasted in AEW. Like, that was a lot of wasted potential there. Like I said, playing second fiddle to Eddie Kingston. But this guy is freaking great.
Of course. Casey Navarro is sitting at a table outside of ringside because he's injured, but we still had the first class penthouse table. I was just like, ugh. But anywho, I was just like, I will say though, so Mike Santana, Mike Santana has been, for me at least, is now getting the reputation of being our, like, I don't want to call it a death match because the street fight and death match are two different things. As somebody who covers GCW, extreme difference. But Mike Santana, at least this year alone, has probably had the most street fights of any talent on this current roster, which I love. Watching AJ Francis hit the Styles Clash also was just like, oh, okay. I was like, all right then. I was just like, nothing's probably gonna come of it. But AJ, I know they ain't doing anything with you right now on main roster. So if TNA wants to, AJ has gone on record saying he would love to wrestle in TNA now that we have this relationship with them. I was like, listen, if AJ Styles music hits at TNA, I would lose my absolute mind.
Oh yeah.
But Mike Santana is very reliable with the street fight. However, and this is where I'm going to bring in you, Papa, also, because there were some spots I legit got a little worried. I was just like, especially when it came to certain chair spots, I'm like, I don't think Santana went the way, it did not go the way it was supposed to. I was like, oh God, somebody check on them.
Yeah, it was there were a couple of moments. Damn. There were a couple of moments I was like, oh, there was the chair, Mike Santana hitting the chair, and you could see he hit it full center of his back, on the lip of the seat, hence why there's only the lip of the seat was bent. And I was like, oh my God. And then the other one is when he went over the top rope to get to Francis, he missed him because AJ had to put his arm out to catch him. Oof. And if he had not, he would have gone right into the barricade. So I was a little worried that we went a little off script in this match. Because I think the crowd was so into it that I think they were performing for the crowd, and I think they got lost a couple of times, and which can be dangerous. But it was always a pleasure watching AJ Francis get his ass kicked. So, especially by Mike Santana, which was fantastic. And I honestly, and I believe, you and I were texting about it. And yes, if anyone was going to take this title away from my boy Joe, it would be Mike, and I'd be okay with that.
Well,
because
bring
Mike
that up.
Deserves it. He deserves
bring that up. So let's talk about it, because Mike wins. He beats AJ Francis. This was very entertaining street fight. Mike Santana gets on the mic, and I was like, listen, my fellow Boricua, my brother, my hermano, like, I love you, Mike Santana. He calls his shot. He's just like, listen, I was like, I have been the face of this company, which is kind of true. Since I got here, I've been putting on matches. I've been putting in the work promos that we come to see of why people deserve a championship match. And so he's like, Santino, you owe me one, so I want in at this match. So we didn't get confirmation. I would not be surprised if that match between Joe and Trick becomes triple threat with Mike Santana, because the only reason Mike was not able to beat Trick on NXT when he fought for that title is because First Class got in the way and was part of the problem of why Mike lost over there. But now that Mike has taken care of AJ in First Class, I'm gonna be so for real. I love Joe Hendry with all my little heart, but I feel that if we do get this triple threat, Joe having the title back would be fun. But just like I said for Leon Slater, I think since coming over to TNA last year, I feel like Mike should get a run with this thing now. Let Mike run through the rest of the summer and a little bit of the fall as your TNA World Champion. So we got 3 weeks. We might turn this into a triple threat. It might turn into a multi-person one. We might get another multi-person elimination style match like we did last Slammiversary last year. But Mike Santana calls the shot as TNA goes off the air this week. I'm like, I'm here for that. But yeah, so that takes us to the end of TNA. I had fun talking with it about you, but I think objectively, had it not been for the street fight, this was a very average mid episode of TNA. I'm not even going front. Mm-hmm. That street fight saved this, and Leon Slater's promo helped a little bit, but that street fight saved what was otherwise a very okay episode of TNA, which I'm kind of bummed because last week was actually pretty good. But yeah, so that brings us to the end of our TNA review this week. We are officially 3 weeks out from Slammiversary. So very interested to see what's going to happen with our builds for certain matches. I still think that Killer Kelly and Masha should be at Slammiversary in that chain match, but who knows what kind of shenanigans are going to go down with that. We'll tune in next week to figure all that out. But yeah, boys, thank you for joining me this evening. This was a fun time talking with all of you, but we got to wrap this up because we got to get up on out of here. So the only thing left is that this Sunday we have a WWE review at 11:30 a.m. Pacific, 2:30 p.m. Eastern. We are talking about Monday Night Raw. We are going to highlight some stuff on SmackDown, depending, because I also have questions based on SmackDown. And then we're probably going to talk about what has been happening this week and all the stuff that is going to be dealing with WWE, as we are now, once tomorrow's put behind us after Night of Champions, we are now on the road to SummerSlam, which is like 2 whole months of build and me crying about lots of things. But we're still going to cover it. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. But that is going to be it for us here tonight at Takedown Troupe. We'd like to thank you for joining us. But from all of us here at the BC WrestlePod family, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay iconic, and more importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. We will see you next Friday for another TNA review. But until then, sayonara, adios, we love you, and hashtag Team Leon Slater. Don't fuck this up, TNA. Don't fuck this up for us. We will. But until then, see you later. We'll ta-ta for now.
Adios.